What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Chiefin With Daily Dale. I'm your host, Dale Fowler, along with my partner, Lonnie. How you doing today, bro?
Good, good.
Man, got some exciting things to talk about. Camp officially started. The guys came in today. They reported yesterday, first day of camp with all the veterans, rookies, and everyone there. So that's very exciting. So that's more Chiefs content for us to dive into. Definitely got some interesting things to talk about. Of course, Chris Jones has not reported to camp at all. Still awaiting that contract extension. So as time goes on, people start to worry more and more. So we definitely going to dive into that, and then also
Uh-huh.
we're going to talk about some second year guys we expect to make a jump this upcoming season, and then also we're going to dive into that running back room a lot more to like really dictate and see what we feel is going to go and happen there. We got some interesting things that has been coming up, not knowing if Clyde's going to be traded, knowing Pacheco going through some injury. Also been getting some great comments about that rookie, Derek Prince as well too. So it's just a lot going on, and also we're going to talk about alternate uniforms. We, as the whole fan base, we definitely we seen everyone having these new alternate uniforms. They're announcing when they're going to wear them, and then here you got the Kansas City Chiefs who just have their usual red and white, white and red. On occasions, white and red. So a lot of people are just angry about that. So we're gonna talk about that as well. But let's go ahead and jump into our first topic of today. Like I said, Chris Jones did not report to camp, and Schefter tweeted that both sides are still far apart on that contract extension. So, Lonnie, how worried are you about this deal not getting done?
Yeah, so I'm not worried. I don't think we should be worried at all. I think Brett Veach knows how important Chris Jones is to maintaining our success, and Andy Reid knows how important Chris Jones is to maintaining our success, and not only maintaining our success, defending our Super Bowl and trying to go win another Super Bowl.
Hmm.
Chris had one of the most dominant playoff runs over in postseason history. Like I said before on previous shows, his resume speaks for itself. There's not too much that we need to say as far as Chris Jones and what he's done. Now, I'm 90% sure that this gets done, but the other 10% of me is saying that Chris Jones, if it doesn't get done, is going to be shipped off to get a ton of picks in reward for it. So that's 90%. I'm 90% sure this deal gets done. I know Veach understands how important Chris Jones is to the structure of the team and what we're trying to build here in KC. He's the top tier pass rusher that we've dreamt of for and coveted for so long and wanted for so long. And I feel like he's finally here. And they'll they'll have to figure. He has to figure out a way to get this done. And being like I said, you know how important he was. The resume and the track record speaks for itself. He didn't have any postseason sacks until this year, and that resulted in a Super Bowl. So it speaks for itself. It shows what type of damage he's doing, how dominant he is. And I know the Chiefs have to get it done. We have to find a number, and the longer we wait, the longer this waits, and the longer we go, the bigger that 10% is going to grow because uh, we're losing time here. We're losing daylight, as people like to say. We got to kind of strike iron and find a comfortable medium for us.
Hmm.
And get Chris in the building as soon as possible. We don't want him sitting out until the season starts. We want him to get into the flow, get into the flow of the game, get into the swing of things. Make sure he's in shape. Make sure he's in shape. So um, I think hopefully this is not a sign of things to come. Adam Schefter saying that they're far apart. We haven't heard a lot of inside stuff from the inside, what's going on with the deal a lot. So this is like the first kind of piece that we heard. We always hear that they're talking to people. The Chiefs are in talks. The Chiefs are in talks. This happened last time when he got his extension. Uh,
Hmm.
they kind of finally just got something done, but I feel like we got to start. We kind of got to start wrapping things up and start getting into it. We're getting into the nitty gritty time. The season is about to start. We got to start cracking down and preparing. So um, I think we'll see. I'm hoping they get it done, but 10% of me is saying that if it doesn't get done, he'll be shipped off and we'll get a good yield in return for Chris.
Well, I like what you brought about like wanting to get him out there as soon as possible because we saw that once he was waiting for that last contract extension and he held out before and then they got it done. He did start off the season a little shaky, not really at his best at that moment, but as it got going, we got the Chris Jones that we all expected. Now I am worried to a sense because Mark Gunnels actually put on his Twitter, he said, how worried about are you about Chris Jones being re-signed with the Chiefs. I originally said a 4. I was almost halfway there because it comes to the point to where now I understand what you're talking about with him being traded, but it's kind of too late for that unless they do it before the season starts. Just because he's on his contract year right now, this is last year of the deal. So if he goes into next offseason, he will be an unrestricted free agent. Now, I do think they have the chance to franchise tag him, but that tag hit will be a lot higher. I think it was up in the upper 30s, 30 millions if to be exact. So just for 1 year, and with not a long-term extension guaranteed as well too, that's going to just go against the Chiefs a lot more, and they wouldn't have the money or the flexibility to actually place that tag on them because they wouldn't have that amount because they don't have that much cap space right now. So it makes you worry a bit because we saw that he's willing to hold out. We've seen this before. He will not do anything until he gets his money right. And for a business on the business side, that's smart on him. He's not putting himself in any jeopardy, losing any leverage by doing that because it's like I'm keeping my health up. I don't want to go out there uncertain about my future, and he want to make sure he gets a long term deal done. Now I think where both sides is at, he feels like he's in that Aaron Donald X type esque type of money, and then the Chiefs went him around that deal that we just saw get done with Quentin Williams. So I think they're going to have to meet somewhere in the middle because he is okay with being the second highest paid defensive tackle. However, I know he feels like he's worth more than a lot of those guys that got their deals done already, which rightfully so. He is, if not the best defensive tackle in the league right now. So as a fan, I don't mind giving him that money. I don't mind giving him close to 30 million a year just because he earns that. And like I said before, and I said it in previous podcast in previous episodes already, that I feel like he's our Patrick Mahomes on the defense. Now, I understand that we saw what happened with Tyreek Hill when we traded him away, got some picks back, and we end up winning the Super Bowl. But in a sense, this is a different matter or a different problem just because when you compare offense and defense, our best player on the offense is Patrick Mahomes, and then after that is Travis Kelsey, who has been leading receiver while Tyreek Hill was here, and they won the Super Bowl together, lost one together, and then they won one without him as well too. So we know we can do it without him. Now defensively, you seen what happened when we had uh who was our guy then who was we always talk bad about. It's forgettable. Yeah,
D
defensive
Rob.
coordinator.
I
No, no,
know,
no,
no,
on the
Bob
defensive
Sutton.
coordinator, Bob Sutton. Yes,
I'm
and
sorry.
we understand that.
Sorry, D
We
Rob.
talk, but um, we saw throughout that tenure when he was here, we did great in 2018 when we got to the AFC Championship game. But you see our defense and in the lack of uh really being able to just tighten up and be able to get a stop, and we having those mental mistakes. You saw what happened there, and then losing Chris Jones on top of that. Now we got great athletes that surrounded him, but you at the end of the day, our defense is built around that pass rush and our defensive line. We have serviceable linebackers. We know what we getting out of Nick Bolton and Willie Gay, and also Drew Tranquil that we brought in. We now have a more comfortable secondary than I am used to in previous years because I love when we got Tyron in. I know he was going to hold it down, but the years prior from Tyron, that secondary was horrendous, and they were always the reason that we were losing big games and losing games in general. Just not being able to cover the receivers and get a stop. So I feel more comfortable with that now because those young guys got their feet wet, and this was a group that did their job pretty well, and they followed their assignments. And then you have the veteran leadership with Justin Reed back there, who's looking to have a better season as well too. So you feel comfortable, but at the same time, are you going to still get that same pressure that you get on the quarterback, which is worrisome? So I think it is important that they figure out something and get it done right now because the longer that it goes, that's going to put the Chiefs in a bad position of in their leverage because he will go into the season and probably be like, you know what, I'm just going to wait till we get something done. That's when you'll see me out there. And Coach Reed and others, and even Clark Hunt, they put out there that they expected him to be out there. Clark Hunt, he did not want to say much because he want to still have that respect, and he don't want to push away one of his top defensive players on that defense. He says he's here for him, but at the same time, he letting Beach and company handle that. Coach Reed, he just, he's surprised that he did not report yet because that's one of the leaders on his defense, and he feels like he has his team in a championship mentality, and he don't want anything to, take away from that. So as a coach, I understand why he's saying that because he expects his players to be there, regardless of what's going on. He's not in your business on what you're handling with your contract talks with the GM and others. However, I do want you to be ready once the season starts because we don't want you to have that same problem that you had when you went through that contract year before it got signed, but you started off on a slow start. He's worried about getting another ring, winning another Super Bowl. So that's what his mind is focused on. But I hope everything really comes about and they can figure this out. However, a little worried. Little, I'm not going to be the one who say I know they'll get it done because we saw what happened already. The Chiefs, once they're set on a number, they
They're
don't
set.
care. They're set. They will
They're
move
not
without
moving.
you.
That is
They
the
will move
Veach
without
era.
you.
If y'all haven't caught on yet, that is the Veach era. If you didn't, hey, if Tyreek couldn't get nobody to move, if they couldn't, then Tyreek was at the top of his game. Like
Yep.
it's not happening. I'm
And
telling
he's
you.
still putting
So
up numbers now.
that's the scary thing with
Hmm.
this. As long as we had a stalemate, longer we had a stalemate, the uglier it gets. But
Yeah.
um,
So, uh, I hope something happens. We honestly hope something happens within the next couple of weeks. Our first preseason game is not until August 13th, so they do got a couple of weeks to really talk it out, get a lot closer, especially before that comes, because we know once the preseason come and football starts, it gets going, and then next thing you know, we're in week one on September 7th, not knowing what's going on with the with if he's going to show up, and we don't want to have those worries, So we just need to be watching out for that. I think they do try to get something done before the preseason start, and then make sure everyone is all coming together to see what's going on. So now let me go ahead and jump on into our next topic. So Lonnie, we talked about some second year guys that's coming into the season already, coming back, and they had a nice rookie year as well too. So what are your thoughts about that, and who are you looking out for this upcoming season in their second year?
yeah, so my second year pick to like really have a standout season is going to be number 6, Brian Cook. That's the safety that we picked up out of Cincinnati. Brian, I think, is a guy that showed a lot of promise last year, taking over, not taking over that spot, but splitting those snaps with Thornhill and rotating in that rotation with him and Justin Reed at that deep safety and in that intermediate safety. I mean that free safety spot. So I feel like he really got that deep safety position spot down. As the season progressed, I remember him and Devontae Adams kind of burning him over the top. Him and Jalen Williams, and later Six coming back in the AFC Championship and going on to make that play. One of the biggest plays down the stretch on that same type of coverage where him and Williams are covering the guy. So he turns and gets his head around, gets a tip, and next thing you know, it's an interception. So I feel like Six had a lot of growth. Brian Cook had a lot of growth. I feel like he's the one that I'm looking for the most. I know he was out there working early. I'm not sure if he was battling back from injury or not. Andy Reid likes to keep that stuff kind of in house, but he was working out there early. I know with the rookie. So um, this to see Six, I feel like Six is going to be a little bit ahead of the game. I feel like he was a little bit ahead of the game last year. That's why we got to see him in those games down the stretch, and he played a lot of pivotal roles. He's also a good tackler. In space, so I feel like he's gonna be that guy to look out for. Brian Cook, that's who I'm looking out for. I'm looking for him to make a whole bunch of plays, and just be ready to go as far as a playmaker, that hybrid safety type guy, that we've seen and know that he can be.
I'm sticking in this in a defensive back group as well too. I definitely would like to see what Brian Cook does in year two. But someone I'm looking out for is Joshua Williams. I think this is someone who was coming along throughout the season. Definitely had his tough challenges, especially in that first Bengals game when he gave up that big catch to T Higgins that ended up being the last possession. They were able to kneel out and win the game. But and then he ended up coming up with a big pick in that AFC Championship game that your boy Brian Cook ended up swatting, batting, and he was able to come up with it and then have a big turnover. So they were able to combine together to just be able to play phenomenal throughout that entire game. But this is someone who was getting better throughout the season, and I like his size at that cornerback position. because I think this is someone that they honestly wanted to outshine Jalen Watson, who ended up coming in and actually playing good in that who was a 7 round cornerback. Williams was picked up in the 4th round. They expected a lot more from him, but he ended up picking it up as the season got on. He had some mental errors, some mental mistakes where he was lacking in coverages and not being at the right spot at the right time, or he's end up giving that receiver that inside leverage to where they're able to beat him on a slant and get the first down. But I think those are some things that he can work on. But at the same time, with his length and his athleticism as well too, if he's able to put it together, he will be someone that will make that defensive back group a lot better. Because I think we discussed before that we know that Trent McDuffie throughout his time in college, he was really a solid nickel and dime cornerback, right? Especially with
Absolutely.
his size, and he was able to shut down those opposing slot receivers for other teams. And then having guys like Joshua Williams on the outside with his size, lining up against the Jamar Chases or the T Higgins or even the Stephon Diggs and the Devontae Adams and Justin Jefferson due to their height, he will have that advantage to where he can use his height and his athleticism to guard those guys and shut them down. That's what we want him to be able to be, along with Jalen Watson, who's a guy who's 6'1" as well too, and having that height advantage to be on their number 2 wide receiver, and then having guys like Snead and McDuffie on the inside, it makes that defensive back group just phenomenal. And then you have Justin Reed and Brian Cook over top. You have a guy in Mike Edwards that you bring in as well too. That will just be a serviceable and a solid secondary to where they can be one of the best in the league. And that's why I would like him to make that jump in year 2. And I think he can do it. Now, will he have those mental errors in a sense? I think he still will, just because he's coming from a different system, right? They're trying to get him acclimated to the NFL defensive back group, get him kind of up to level, because this is a guy who came from a HBCU as well too, and he has a lot of talent. And some of those HBCU schools as well got a lot of guys who's playing there who can come into the league and still do a lot as well too, and really play a big factor. Now, I think their defense is somewhat different to what you see in those Power Five conferences where they play more traditional style and on the offensive defensive side. And I think that's what they're trying to help him do in the NFL, because they just like his metrics of what he has, just being that size of a player, having that length, being able to go up with those better receivers in the league as well too, to where you have an advantage as well too, instead of having guys like Trent McDuffie, who was 5'10", 5'11", going up against a 6'4", 6'3", Mike Evans. Mike
It's
Evans said
somewhat
five.
it's somewhat reminiscent
All
of
that.
Jalen Ramsey, right?
Exactly.
That's why, and I get what
Exactly.
you're saying. It's somewhat reminiscent of Jalen Ramsey. If this is a guy that can get it and put it down, now he doesn't have to show that great speed or any of that, but it's
Hmm.
reminiscent of that Jalen Ramsey, Sean Smith type corner. That the longer, lengthy guy that's really out there and he's holding your
Yeah.
bigger wide receivers. He's defending the jump balls. You got a guy that can cover those guys. You got a guy
Yep.
that's banging with the AJ Browns. But yeah, I get it. I like it. I definitely see where you're coming from with it. But yeah, I still just like Brian Cook. I know he was calling. They said he was a good talker. He talked a lot. He talked communicated real good too as
Yeah.
well. So I think that I feel like he's going to be a standout. But anyone in that secondary, I feel like we're looking
They
for
can
those
have a
guys to
breakout year.
blossom. Yeah, they have a big ceiling, but I feel like it's a lot of opportunity there too for letdown, because you can have a good season in one year as a DB and have it be a no name the next year. Somebody they're picking on you.
And
So uh,
I think that the secondary is a group that a lot of fans want to see a jump in as well too, just because we talked about those prior years to where they weren't as solid and they weren't as good, and those were the guys in the reason why we were not finishing or completing those games, just because of what we was getting giving letting those opposing offenses get off on. I think we're ready to see them actually play as a unit and play as one of the top secondaries in the league.
yeah,
Just because what is going to add is going to add a lot to that defense that we have already. We know we have one of the better linebacker groups in the league. Now they might not be considered top five, but this is a linebacker group to where you just can't run over. I don't think this is a group that we had in previous years where we had Anthony Hitchens or excuse me or Reggie Ragland, to where they were giving off a lot of yards. They was giving up yards after contact. in a sense, or they were having contact at 5 yards where they were giving up to those opposing running backs. This is a group that is fast, they're quick, and they're on it, and they stick as well too. So they're meeting you at the line of scrimmage, not giving you that leverage to where you're getting over on them in the game. So I'm not really worried about them as much. And then of course with our defensive line, that always been like one of the top that we had on our defense. That was always the best group because we had the Frank Carson in the world, we had the Justin Houston's in the time of hot leagues, we had the Chris Jones and all those other guys as well too, to where we know we can get some sacks out of them. They consider Sack Nation for a reason. We be having the most pressures as well too, so you know what you're getting. But with the secondary, if we can come together, get more turnovers, get more DBUs, just really just playing your assignment, doing your assignment, and just really just having that defense play as a whole and not be that weak link to a sense. So um I definitely can't wait to see what they bring this season. We know Brian Cook, he's been doing a lot of first team reps as well too. That's somebody that they're looking to actually make a step this in the jump this year. Even though that they brung in a guy like Mike Edwards, and then of course Joshua Williams, if he can just really get over his mental errors, his mental mistakes, kind of put it together, become more of a professional. Not saying that he's not a professional right now, but gaining that confidence, not letting those rookie mistakes or those young mistakes really get to him. It's just like, okay, we're gonna get to the next play. That happened. Let's move on. So I think he'll be all right. So let's go ahead and jump on to our next topic. Let's go ahead and break down. Let's go ahead and break down this Chiefs running back room. So who do you have starting, and do you see the Chiefs actually carrying for running backs as well too? And when I say start, I understand that we are running back by committee, but who do you feel that will always be the guy who start out the game for us, and then always be the go to as well too? So
Yeah, so yeah, I think the go to for sure is going to be Isaiah Pacheco, but that's just barring that he comes back from the injury, he comes back full healthy, and he gets those first team reps just based off of him already previously owning that spot, having that there,
mhm.
being the starter, having that respect, and being that he won the Super Bowl. I feel like they give it to him there as long as he's healthy and he's coming back right. But then I feel like that second position, that second spot, and I don't see us carrying forward, by the way, but that second spot I feel like goes to Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I feel like if he comes in healthy and he can show that he can be a weapon in the pass game, this is a guy that was a first round pick. And has shown that ability to be a number one back before. Like we said in previous episodes, this is a guy that has rushed for almost 1,000 yards in his first year as a
Mhm.
rookie. So he has that ability to definitely be that guy, come in and be a playmaker. Made plays for Mahomes last year in the Buccaneers games, if you guys don't remember. So in the past game, this is a guy that is a total weapon and was a total weapon for Joey B in college. In the same sort of offense. So I think that's a guy that can be the number 2 spot. But then I have Jed McKinnon coming in at 3. And the only reason I'm giving Jed McKinnon 3 over Deneric Prince is because of the vet savviness, right? The knowing how to pick up the blocks, knowing where to be at
Mhm.
is the most important key, especially playing running back. You got to protect the money, and you back there with the money, and Mahomes is the money. So I feel like Jed knows how to pick up blocks. He's another weapon in the
One of the
pass
better
game.
pass blocking running backs.
Yeah, he definitely showed that ability last year. So I feel like Jet comes in at 3rd over Deneric Prince. But now if Deneric Prince is just undeniable, this is a guy that they compare to now Davis. I don't really like that comparison. But I mean, I know he's wearing 34. He's a bigger back, but I guess we have to see. Now was more of a north and south guy. This looks like he kind of has a little twitch to him, a little spin move to him. Now it's more of I'm a hit it north and south. I'm just hitting it hard. So, but now was still a great running back as well. And that's no knock to now Davis. He's great, the great 34. So, all respect to him. But for sure,
Okay.
I just want to see that. I feel like that third position is kind of up for grabs. Deneric Prince and Jed McKinnon. And I feel like Scott. I feel like I'm putting a lot on Clyde, but I feel like it's warranted. Being that he
Mhm.
was a first round pick. And knowing that who he was and seeing that he has that ability to really be a threat out of the backfield, catching the ball, especially with him being a smaller guy. That's just an automatic mismatch for those bigger linebackers or defensive linemen if they want to match you up or just do whatever type of crazy scheme Lou Amarumo is throwing at people. So it's I feel like it's It definitely is arguable, and those are interchangeable. But those are the three that I'm giving it to, and then in that order. And I feel like if Pacheco is not right, just physically and not ready to go, I feel like it's the same situation we can see with Clyde next year. But Clyde just get his spot back. That we seen with Clyde last year, where Clyde lost his spot, but I feel like that can happen to Pacheco too, and Clyde will be the starter.
Yeah,
I feel like we were, like you said, we still roll running back by committee, but we all
exactly.
know that there is a starter and there is a main guy that kind of is going to run the show there.
And they want Pacheco to be that early down guy. They already said it before. This is someone who was considered a bruiser back. You want to run it on first and second down. This is a guy that's going to run hard. He's going to hit those holes, and he can get you about 3 to 4 yards to carry as well too, to put you in better position on those second and third down plays, right? So of course you want him out there. The second person, the second string running back, I think will be that second option that they will go to will actually be Jet McKinnon, just because of his experience, his savviness, like that you were talking about. But this is someone who's a threat in the passing game as well too. He's great on those screen plays, and also when he gets the ball as well too, he knows how to make a play. And then being able to be one of the best pass blocking running backs in the league as well too. Someone who stepped up. What we saw throughout the season when he knocked a couple guys on their butts as well too. He has that aggressiveness to where he's able to put the quarterback in position to make a play, and then also he has the awareness and the IQ to know that, okay, I made a block, but now Pat is about to start running out, getting out of the pocket, making some plays, try to extend the drive or extend that play at that time. Let me get to a position to where I'm in open field, and then I can make a play and try to get a first down or a couple yards to make that next down better for us. So I think he has just the IQ to really earn that spot. He could be considered a starting running back on the team. It's just that we know he has an injury history, and what they're trying to do is they want to have that experience and that help from him when it gets to the later part of the season, going to the postseason as well too, because we saw what he brung when it was time to come up in those particular games. So you definitely want to save him throughout. So that's why he's not your starter. But then at three, it will be Clyde, because this is someone who is great on third down as well too. He has that experience and that in the knowledge of the offense as well too, to really still contribute. The only thing problem with Clyde was health. It wasn't what he could do on the field. We understand that it was times where on those short down and distant plays that we mad he could have like probably get an extra couple inches or a yard or two. However, when he's out in space and he gets the ball in his hands and he's in an open field with the opposing defender, he can get by a guy and then get some more out of that. And we saw that burst from him as well too. Now he's not a Jamal Charles or anyone like that, or those other guys we saw as well too, even a Jet McKinnon with the speed, but he does enough at the running back position to where it allows him and shows that he needs to be on that 53-man roster as well. Now I understand that we heard a lot and we saw a lot, and been getting a lot of praise for the Derek Prince as well too. However, at the running back position, I know with Andy Reid, he doesn't really care about that. I think at that position, he cares about having guys who knows the playbook, who can do what they need to in the passing
Get the
game as well
protection,
too.
yeah.
Pick up protection for Patrick Mahomes when you have an opposing linebacker or edge rusher that's beating their guy at that moment, but can step up and do that. That's what we love in that position, because we're a passing team anyway. We're not looking for someone who's expected to have 20 carries a game. We're not looking for that. Now, Denarius Prince, he will move up in the depth chart based off of injuries, though. Will Jet and Clyde still have that injury history, along with Pacheco as well too. If one of those guys fall and he steps up and we start seeing him get some reps and he's making plays as well too, that's when we see like, oh, we need him on the offense. We need to build a package for him as well too. We may need to make sure to get him the ball, because like you said, I understand you don't like the comparison with the Now Davis, but I think they're just going based off of size. We know Now
Yeah,
Davis
based
was
off of
a
size
fumbler,
wise.
but he did have good years at Arkansas. He has some good years with the Chiefs as well too. When Jamal
Absolutely.
Charles went down and he stepped up in that playoff game against the Colts, he went crazy. That was the defense not holding it in, but also on the offense too, not being able to just to get a first when needed, just to keep their opposing offense on the sideline. It was just a team fold at that point. But him as an individual, he was balling out
Right.
that game and had a kick return as well too.
Oh, yeah,
So
against the
he
Texans.
definitely he definitely played well. But I understand the comparison, because having that type of size running back, it just we like it. You see the Derrick Henrys in the world who just going crazy, beast, hard to
Yeah.
bring down, phenomenal.
It
And I
brings
think,
another
yeah,
element to this. It brings another element
yeah,
to
to the
this sexy
offense.
offense. It's
Hmm.
the offense that is a lot of artsy. People call it basketball on grass. It's throwing the ball a lot. It brings
Yeah,
another punch to it, so it still brings that hit
exactly.
you in your mouth element to it too. So we'll run downhill, hit you in your face too. So
We
I
can do a
like
lot of
it's like a
things.
yin and a yang. Yeah.
We can do a lot of things. So that's who I got as of right now. But I think I have the least worries for this group just because we got the talent everywhere. We had a 7 round guy that stepped up. We feel he's gonna be the starter this year, and he's at the camp. He's at training camp. He just got a jersey. He just got the yellow jersey on right now, just due to just getting done with that surgery and making sure that he's good to go. He's still been getting reps, but he just can't have contact right now, which is fine. And I think he's gonna be good once week 1 starts. And he played all 17 games as well too. He's tough, and I understand with what we're seeing with the running back market right now, but I never saw him as someone who was going to get a big payday anyway. He's going to be serviceable to any team he will play with, right? But I don't think he's a Dalvin Cook. I don't think he's a Saquon Barkley. I don't think he's a Christian McCaffrey, but he fits for our offense. And that's what's making the market bad for them because now you're seeing teams be able to still make plays with whatever running back they have in their scheme. But with Pacheco, I never saw him as a guy who was going to end up trying to get a big payday anyway. This is a 7 round running back. Now he moves up, and depending on what team they might pay for him, but we see how it is right now. So that's why I was never too worried. And then you see with Jet had to come back for us for a year. Clyde dealing with injury. Prince, he's a rookie. So we have a running back system right now to where we have the talent and we have guys who needs to be here anyway and don't really have nowhere to really go after that. They're still on rookie deals. Two of them. One of them, he's past 30. Where else can he go? He's not going to find that contract he wants to get right now, especially at his age and how the market is going. He's missing out. He's going to be one of those who miss out and probably retire regretting that he played the running back position. So just saying, the group, we fine. We fine. I think we just want to see how it will be structured. But you're going to see something different. You're going to see something different throughout the season. It's not going to be the same. Someone's going to have some wear tear. Someone's going to have to sit out for a game. We're going to see some other guys step up. Who knows? We might have some practice squad players as well too, who really can come in and have a great preseason and be on that practice squad to where if something happens, they can move up as well too. We know how it is.
Did you say regret playing the position of?
Yeah. Hey, sometimes you come, sometimes your cards is not dealt at the right time, bro. It was a time where running backs were considered very important and
It
you had to
was.
pay
It
them.
was.
And I'm not against
It
them. I
really
think
was
it's
when
very
Todd
messed up
Gurley
what's
and
happening.
even up till
Yeah.
Ezekiel Elliott, but after that happened, it's just like, man, this is
But
out. We are not
it's
paying.
guys like
Even with
Pacheco, it's
CMC, even with
Pacheco fault.
CMC got paid too.
Look,
It is Pacheco fault.
look,
It's really Damian Williams'
it's,
fault.
it's Damian Williams' fault. He's undrafted. Pacheco. We had another guy who it was a dude who playing for the Falcons.
Who?
Um
Daryl Williams. Daryl Williams too. It's their fault.
There Williams, you had all those, but that's in the Chiefs offense, right? But you start having other running backs and other systems as well too, who are unknown, who start stepping up and like what?
We
Like we
don't
getting
get.
them in later rounds. We can look at that up later and talk about that later because we just jumping on the spot
Yeah.
right with it. But I think it was a guy from Seattle too, right? He wasn't a
Yeah.
first round pick, was he?
Yep. Who is that? Not
Um,
Marshawn.
Not Marshawn.
Oh.
You remember he started with the Bills anyway. Let me see. He just had a he's at Rook Kenneth Walker.
Yeah.
Let me see when he was
Yeah.
picked up. Kenneth Walker.
He was in the running for the Heisman. He pretty good. Probably what, like second or third round?
He was a 2nd round running back. So,
Yeah.
he's still someone who's suspected to come in and start. So I
Yeah.
guess we can't say nothing about him. But I mean, I guess in a sense because you know how they be about first rounders. Those usually the guys who come in
Yeah.
and start day one. But this is the thing: second and fourth round is always the guys who build the rosters as well too, and who be getting snaps as well. If they have a good training camp in preseason, and they usually get their time in the regular season as well too. So I mean, still makes sense. But it's just a lot of guys are getting drafted in later rounds as well too. That's coming out and balling out. So yeah, it sucks.
It sucks.
It sucks. It honestly sucks. But at the same time, for people to still say that position is not important is bogus.
Hmm.
Because at the end of the game, you got the Damian Williams who ended the game for us, right? First down. Boom. Had Jed McKinnon, even though that we had that big penalty by Juju, got the first down, kneel down before scoring a touchdown. Very unselfish. Was able to kneel it 3 times, kick a field goal, 13 seconds left or 8 seconds left on the clock for the Eagles. We won the Super Bowl.
Exactly.
So
Smart.
just to say that they're not important, that's bull. That's bull. But at the same time, I think when people get mad about when some people say they're interchangeable, they are. And when we say interchangeable, we're talking about still within their position. We can get another running back who can feel their their production and still get the same end goal
Result.
that we're looking
Yeah.
for in a result that we're looking for
Absolutely.
anyway. That's what it is. That's where we come with the interchangeable talks. But it's we'll see how this running back group go. They definitely need to stay healthy too. They
Yeah.
definitely need to stay healthy too because they have a chance to lose their spot. And Kadarius Tony need to watch out as well too. We know he having knee problems as well. He tweaked his knee in his special teams, but we talk about that before the end of the show because I'm gonna get your thoughts about what we've been hearing about with training camp as it's been going. You know, it's progressively going on. But let's go ahead and get to our last topic of the show. We're gonna have some fun with the topic. Alternate uniforms. We saw the Buccaneers do video
Creamsicle.
tribute. Yeah, creamsicle alternate jersey that's coming up this season. They definitely brought in their legends to incorporate in that video, which was pretty cool. Definitely was a classic, very old school build. I like how they presented it. Those jerseys looks like they're gonna look decent when they're out on the field. We also saw the Cleveland Browns updating their helmets. Adding to some of their alternate jerseys that they have in as well too. Who other jerseys that you see that was presented as well? Some new
Uh,
alternates that they have. I think was the Lions one of those.
the Lions. Yep. I think
Mm-hmm.
The Colts have one
Colts,
too. That's
the
black.
Colts, and
Um,
it's frustrating.
It's
And
yeah, it's
and
different, and just to go on to answer the question, I don't think the Chiefs will ever get alternate uniforms. If we did get alternate uniforms, I'm a advocate for the yellow and the red with the red, or the black and the red. Everybody know them jerseys that always going around them is them is Boosie jerseys. Y'all know them little
them
Boosie
jerseys
jerseys.
that they they ain't never kind of come with. That's just somebody who got
Well,
yeah,
yeah, them is hard. Them is the
it'd be
best
cool. Yeah,
uniforms. That'll be dope. Or like even if they was to do it on some crazy, like just flip the Royals in the Chiefs colors.
like what they yeah
That'd be crazy. Doing royal blue with the
that
that'll be
they
hard. That'll
couldn't
be
do
tight. And
that
I don't
though
even
just because
I
your
like that.
division and rivals
Yeah,
is
that's true. That's true.
blue too. You couldn't really pull that off, I think, in a sense. Clark Hunt, and that's why I want to bring this up as well too, because Clark Hunt, he actually said it at the perfect time. They tweeted about it at day one of the training camp where everybody was back. He was like, I understand everybody been talking about the jerseys, but the reason why he hasn't been looking into it because he said his father Lamar, he was someone who said he wanted like the consistent uniform look, and that's why he never incorporated like alternate jerseys for the Chiefs or nothing like that. So he want to keep on his father tradition as long as he can. So that means like guys like us, we might be old when they actually give in, and it might will have to be like his kids who end up taking the team that want that because we know that we're in a generation of change and people like change now, and he's kind of that person who still in that category with like the
Our
old school
grandparents.
people or in that sense like our parents to be honest. Clark not he's not that old but he's in
Yeah.
50s 60s, so they kind of more of like okay they don't like they are cool with change but if it ain't broke don't fix it. So they're kind of on that route of how it's
Yeah.
going. That's why we don't want to set ourselves up for failure. We got to think about, we're arguing about even trying to get a new stadium. He's talking about renovations, major renovations. He's not even talking about tearing it down and building it back up. He's just talking about having major renovations towards the stadium to make it up to standard and make it, better. And then, it'll be fine like that. But what major renovations can you do? I mean, the suites, I heard
I
the
don't
suites
know.
look nice.
Yeah, they can do the suites. They can add stuff like Jerry's World got where you can take pictures with the players. You seeing that? It's like a whole virtual thing. You can take pictures,
Okay.
push the button, get in there. All the players get in behind y'all. Y'all take the picture on the little thing. So like
Okay.
they can upgrade a lot of stuff. They can do some stuff, but it's just the World Cup is coming. So I do believe that they're gonna update. They're gonna make some big stuff to changes to that stadium. Anytime you get multi-billion-dollar operations like the World Cup and the Olympics, you're going to have to update and make major changes to your city and stuff that you're using.
Facts. I mean, and then this is you gotta think about it too. The stadium also hosts like concerts and everything like that as well too. So they gotta make sure to keep everything up to date, because really we hold a lot. And if we want, I think if we want like more major events coming to Kansas City, we need to make sure the stadium is up to par as well too, because we don't know how long the Royals gonna stay there. We know they're talking about them moving downtown and everything like that, and that could be the probably a spot that they can use as well too for that, just because that might be a beautiful aesthetic as well. But those type of events, they gotta have or be hosted in a football stadium due to the fact of the large capacity that they can hold. And we know that Taylor Swift well too, and it was jam packed and it was packed out, and what they were able to hold, just they were able to hold a lot of people. So I think it's just, I know we got our topic with the alternate uniforms going to the stadium as well, but I think they all coexist with one another, because it shows that they're not trying to make a big change.
Yeah.
They want to keep it to where it is, and sometimes it could be that what they call that as well. It could be their not look, or they don't want to jinx anything, or they don't want to
Just they don't want to take the
yeah,
the
yeah,
the
yeah.
nostalgic effect out
That's
of it. They
exactly.
want Arrowhead to still be Arrowhead. They want you to be able to walk
Yeah,
through there and still feel the rumble, feel the
yeah.
31 point, the 137 decimals. They want you to still be able to get that
Loud
aesthetic
stadium world.
out of Arrowhead. Um, still visit it. They still want it to be the spectacle and the museum that it is for people when they come see it, because it is. It's a sight to behold.
This is a stadium that holds a record for the loudest in the world as well, too.
Yeah.
Loudest sports venue, in the Guinness World Record book. So it's just a lot of things that happen to it. There's a lot of tradition coming from that, and I don't think they want to lose that tradition as well, too. And I don't blame them. Um, I understand that we want to host things like, or probably a WrestleMania. We talked about that before, or have a Super Bowl there as well. But that stuff don't matter to me, just because usually during those times, like a Super Bowl, weather wise, I don't think it would fit for them to come there anyway. I think they do have some of a nightlife that and fan base, and a lot of people to come out in the capacity to hold that type of stuff. We was able to do the draft, right? Um, But at the same time, the Super Bowl is February. We know how it gets in February in Kansas City as well too. Snow, roads get bad, no dome as well too, to really protect the natures of the world that happens, to where you have that, if something happens you can close it, then you fine. You just worry about the game, right? But it's just a lot that comes to it, to where it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So we need to host those outside events, like the All-Star game for the MLB, or those concerts that can come during a time where it's in the summer. Uh, things like that. Where it happened. Now, I do think they can host a WrestleMania though. We talked about that before. I mean, but we talked about it being 100,000 plus people. I think. I mean, they still can have enough though. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
They did. It's
We
Midwest. They
lit.
working their way
We
back. We'll
lit.
see. We'll see. I
April
don't know.
though, it'd be
I
in
don't know.
April, in late March.
It
If
rain.
they get a good way, true. I think one year it got delayed though, where they had to
Yeah.
wait till it started raining.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying. I mean, things happen, you know. We don't know. We'll see though. But before we get off of here, we gotta talk about training camp real quick. We got a little bit more time. What's some exciting things that you saw from the heard from day one of training that just recently happened today? Well, where everybody coming back, we already know the rookies and the quarterbacks reported on Wednesday or Tuesday, and then got going on Wednesday. But with everybody there, what's some things that you saw going around on social media that you were really impressed about?
Yeah, just the Justin Ross getting the first team snaps. I know we talked about that on previous shows that we thought that he may be the odd man out on this wide receiver core. I think that shows otherwise. I think we're in for a good show here at this wide receiver core. Hopefully KT can stay healthy so we can really see that this competition is going to go on and we're going to have to cut somebody that somebody's really going to be hurt about. Now we also talked about that Justin Watson deal. Just briefly, just touched on it. That may be a deal where the Chiefs is it's low risk. I mean, high risk, low reward. Well, no,
Low
sorry,
risk, high reward.
low risk, high reward. Where so the contract may not be a lot of dead money. More is just like they just signed a deal to kind of stir up, just in case anything does happen at that position as far as Justin Watson goes. But seeing shot guys like Richie James showing out today, Justin Ross getting first team snaps, that room is going to be loaded. We still have KT, MVS, Sky Moore, and that's three right there.
Hmm.
Without Justin Watson making it four, so it's not too many more spots left in that room, y'all. So we got some guys, some dogs in there. That's fighting for spots in there, and I want to see how that is going to shake up. Everybody, watch that, and see how we'll see what we got there on that home front.
I was amazed. I'm glad I heard Rasheed Rice.
Yeah, and
Rasheed
Rasheed, I
Rice.
forgot.
Yeah, Rasheed Rice. He actually got a touchdown today. I heard Rasheed Rice and I think Scott Moore was getting those juju. No. Rasheed Rice and Justin Ross was getting those juju type of snaps. What he was doing at that position, so he was playing. They was playing more of his role today, and they said they did a good job at that. A standout that I saw and Cam heard about it kept was Ricky James. He caught a ball over the middle in tight coverage. He did pretty good, and they said they said he also reminded them of that quick change of direction that they saw, and also Tyreek Hill and Kadarius Toney what he possesses. So if you get something out of him like that, I don't think you can hesitate with keeping him on that roster. So that's someone to really look out for. And I think he's trying to ball out because I think he's on the realm of guys where they're debating with him and Justin Ross, but Justin Ross getting those first team reps as well too. Really shows a great sign. But we talked about this before, and I heard this is what I heard on one of the Twitter Spaces in the Chiefs Kingdom. Darren Smith actually made, and he referenced a good point. He said this time of year, people talk about those different certain guys are getting those reps with the first team. Uh, though pay mind to it, but that doesn't mean as much because this is a time of year where training camp, a lot of people think it's for the veterans and everybody can come out, you start seeing the reps, but this is for those rookies to really show and really show off the value that they can bring to the team because you already know the basis of the roster that you have all together, and you know you're 11 on defense, 11 on offense already, and some of those role players that you have around that as well too. But you're going to be seeing what these rookies or these guys that you bring in from the office to see what value that they can add because you want to make sure they're ready for the moment as well too. Because you know, with the Chiefs being a Super Bowl team and the championship team as well too, they don't. You got to think about it with those prime time games or those big postseasons and the Super Bowl teams. They want to make sure that they're ready for the moment as well too. Because they want them to be able to step in and really do not lose any emotion at all. They're able to handle the moment. They know who they're playing with. They know the assignments that they had to do, and they're already prepared for it if someone goes down. So that's something good to think about and really pay attention to as camp goes on. So don't worry about the MVSs or I mean, we always gonna hype up Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelsey, but don't worry about those type of guys. Look at the Justin Ross and see how they do in camp. Look at the Sky Moore, see the improvement that he had from last year. Look at Rasheed Rice that we brought in the second round, what they can bring to the team. Because if they can add value to an already Super Bowl team that we saw last year, that's gonna be a plus for Kansas City moving forward. So I think they need to pay attention. We need to watch out for that. It's very exciting, but it was great to see Richie James be one of the standout guys at wide receivers on day one, and we're gonna see what he can bring throughout the season. So, anything else you want to add to it before we get out of here?
Yeah, nothing else. Let's just watch that. We're gonna watch how that shakes up.
Yep. Well, that's all we have for this episode. Make sure to follow us on our social media platforms, KC Sports Company on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Also follow me on my social media pages as well too. Facebook Dale Fowler Jr., Twitter Dale E Fowler, and then Instagram Dale underscore Daily underscore Dale 39. Make sure to follow Lonnie as well too on his Instagram underscore Lano LONO underscore. And then make sure to follow him on Twitter as well too underscore Lano LONNO. All right.
Facts.
So that's all we have for this episode of Chiefin with Daily Dale. We'll talk to you next time.